This is the kind of NASCAR moment that makes the whole sport feel like it's on fire. Because the second Tyler Reddick beat Shane Van Gisbergen at COTA, the reaction did not stay normal for even 5 minutes. It went straight to panic, straight to outrage, straight to cheating claims, and suddenly fans everywhere were acting like NASCAR had a full-blown scandal on its hands. And I'll be honest, when I saw SVG close and late on that final run, I thought we were about to watch the road course king do what he always does. I thought Reddick was in huge trouble. But instead, Reddick held him off, pulled away, and made history. And that's exactly why this thing exploded, because when a result feels that shocking, people don't just react to it, they question it. They challenge it. They turn it into something even bigger. And if you're a real NASCAR fan who lives for the heat, the emotion, the arguments, and the truth behind these crazy race day moments, make sure you like this video and subscribe right now, because this channel is for people who actually care about the sport. We're building a new community here for fans who want the drama, yes, but also want the full breakdown after the noise hits. And after what happened at Circuit of the Americas, trust me, this is exactly the kind of story this community was built for. Now let's set this up, because the stakes at COTA were already through the roof before the green flag even waved. This was March 1, 2026, the Duramax Texas Grand Prix at Circuit of the Americas, NASCAR's first road course race of the Cup season. Tyler Reddick rolled in driving the number 45 Toyota for 23XI Racing, already carrying wins in the Daytona 500 in Atlanta. That meant he had a chance to do something no driver in NASCAR history had ever done before. Win the first 3 races of a Cup season. Let that sink in. Nobody had ever opened a year 3 for 3. But in the other lane of this story was Shane Van Gisbergen in the number 97 Chevrolet for Trackhouse Racing, the guy who had won 5 of the 6 road course Cup races in 2025 and was now chasing a 6th straight road course win. So this was not just a race. This was history colliding with a specialist who had made road courses feel like his personal territory. And the race itself had all the ingredients of a classic pressure cooker NASCAR road course fight. Ross Chastain came on strong and won Stage 1. Ty Gibbs took Stage 2 through the strategy shuffle. Ryan Blaney stayed in the mix. Christopher Bell kept himself close enough to matter. Michael McDowell quietly put together another solid road course run. Connor Zilisch had a wild, messy afternoon with spins that changed what could have been a much bigger result. That's what made this race feel so tense. It wasn't some simple one-man domination where nobody could touch the leader. It was a strategic chess match with short pitting, tire management, fuel windows, and stage decisions all colliding at once. But through all of that, Reddick stayed in command of the big picture. He started on pole. He led a race-high 58 of 95 laps. He kept putting himself exactly where a driver needs to be when history is on the line. But here's where the real tension started to build. No matter how strong Reddick looked during the day, every fan watching knew that if Shane Van Gisbergen got close late, everything would change. That's the aura SVG brings to these tracks. He doesn't need a giant advantage. He just needs a chance. And when Ross Chastain lost a wheel and brought out the key late caution, suddenly the whole race got compressed into one final showdown. Lap 79 restart. Reddick out front, Blaney there, SVG lining up third. Then Van Gisbergen attacked downhill through the S's. Got past Blaney and jumped into second. Right there, the pressure hit another level. You could feel it. It became Reddick trying to protect history against the most feared road course closer in the sport. That matters. That's the kind of situation where reputations are built or broken. For the first several laps of that final run, it looked like the pass might be coming. SVG was there. He was close enough to make every Reddick fan nervous. And I'm telling you, that's why the internet completely lost its mind afterward, because people were expecting the usual ending. They were expecting SVG to eventually force an error. But Tyler Reddick never gave him that opening. Every time Van Gisbergen started closing, Reddick would answer. Every time the number 97 looked ready to make a move, the number 45 stepped it back up. Later, SVG himself basically said that every time he got near him, Reddick responded and covered the opportunity. Then the craziest part happened. Instead of just barely surviving, Reddick started to pull away. By the finish, the margin was 3.944 seconds. Let that sink in. What felt like a desperate defense turned into a statement win. NASCAR.com AP News, and that is where the so-called scandal erupted. Because fans did what fans do when they see something they don't expect. They started asking if something had to be wrong. They started calling it cheating. They started acting like NASCAR had another integrity problem to explain. But here's the thing, and this is the part that flips the whole headline upside down. Shane Van Gisbergen did not come out and accuse Tyler Reddick of cheating. He didn't. In fact, what he actually said was almost the exact opposite. SVG said Reddick's driving was immaculate. He said Tyler was amazing. He said his own team lacked a little bit of turn and a little bit of drive. He said they didn't quite have enough. He also said it was weird to be disappointed with second because the level in the Cup Series is so high. That is not a driver exposing a scandal. That is a driver admitting the guy in front of him beat him fair and square. NASCAR post-race reactions, front stretch interview, NASCAR on Fox interviews. Now this is where it gets really interesting because the title version of the story and the factual version of the story are not the same thing. The title says SVG accuses. The reality says SVG gave Reddick credit. And that disconnect is actually the biggest NASCAR issue exposed by COTA, fan trust. Because post-race inspection found no issues with Reddick's car, yet the online outrage still hit like a bomb. Why? Because for a huge section of the fan base, the result felt too surprising to accept at face value. When somebody beats Van Gisbergen late on a road course, some fans don't start with admiration anymore. They start with suspicion. That's the real problem here, not proof of cheating, not an official scandal. A credibility gap between what the sport delivers and what many fans are willing to believe. And competitively, the impact is massive. Tyler Reddick didn't just win another race. He became the first driver in NASCAR history to win the first 3 races of a Cup season. 23SI Racing became the first team to sweep the season's opening 3 races since Petty Enterprises in 1963. Michael Jordan was celebrating on pit road. Billy Scott and that number 45 team looked locked in. And Reddick left COTA with a 70-point lead over teammate Bubba Wallace, while Chase Elliott sat 72 back. That is huge. That changes the whole tone of the season. It changes how rivals view 23XI. It changes how people talk about Reddick in the championship conversation. And maybe most importantly, it changes the road course rivalry with SVG, because now Reddick has proof that he can stare down the road course king under maximum pressure and come out on top. And on the other side, I don't think this hurts Shane Van Gisbergen at all. If anything, it shows how powerful his reputation already is, because the entire reaction to the finish was built around one idea. People simply are not used to seeing him lose that kind of road course fight. That's how high his standard is. That's how much respect he commands. So the next time these two line up at a road course, the stakes are going to feel even bigger, because now it's no longer just about SVG proving he owns these tracks. Now it's about whether Reddick can do it again when everybody knows it's possible. So now I want to hear from you. Did Shane Van Gisbergen's actual comments completely shut down the cheating narrative and prove Tyler Reddick simply earned this win? Or do you think the fact fans exploded this fast shows NASCAR has a much deeper trust problem than people want to admit? Drop your take in the comments, and if you want more NASCAR reaction, more intensity, and more honest breakdowns after the sport's biggest moments, like this video, comment below, and subscribe right now, because this community is only getting louder from here.